love old things. That's just a fact. For all the excitement that a flashy new design can bring, the allure and glamour of history is unmatched. Vacheron Constantin certainly isn't the only brand that embraces its historical catalogue, but they are one of the best at it. Basically all their watches feature rather classical designs, although that doesn't mean they necessarily feature classical complications or techniques, far from it. But their Historiques collection, one of their most prized collections, entirely contains contemporary reinterpretations of iconic models from the Maison's long history. The Historiques collection has received a lot of attention in recent years thanks to the release of the Historiques 222, one of the hottest retro revivals in recent memory. It's also home to heavy hitters like the American 1921, as well as this, the Historiques Cornes De Vache 1955, a prime example of how traditional watchmaking can be harnessed in a contemporary release, and how a case doesn't have to be boring to be elegant. The Cornes De Vache 1955 isn't exactly a vintage reissue, as its name might suggest, because there isn't a single Vacheron Constantin release that looks exactly like this. However, the reference 6087 is the main inspiration for its case design, with its Cornes De Vache, or cow horn style lugs. This sort of lug design peaked in the 1950s, and yet it conjures up images of lavish royalty and Victorian furniture. The lug's pronounced shoulders feel more like support structures for the case than mere components of it, and that draws a lot of attention from the eye. The lugs do reach out fairly far from the case, but the moderate diameter of the watch ensures a comfortable fit for the average wrist. In terms of measurements, the diameter is 38.5mm, the thickness is a svelte 10.9mm, and the lug-to-lug is 47.4mm. While the case of the Cornes De Vache is certainly the highlight, the dial can't be overlooked. The dial of this 18-carat rose gold model, the Cornes De Vache is also available in stainless steel, is a pristine white with gold and blue appointments, and a traditional 2-register chronograph layout. There's a 30-minute counter at 3 o'clock for easy reading, and a running seconds hand at 9. The tachymeter around the dial's periphery is printed in blue to match the blued chronograph hand, and the gold baton, hour and minute hands are tied to the applied gold hour markers. Everything is proportion perfect, offering the maximum amount of information without sacrificing any legibility. Part of this is due to the slenderness of the bezel, making way for plenty of dial space. Turning the watch over reveals a sapphire exhibition caseback, which exposes its caliber 1142. This in-house Vacheron Constantin caliber is a hand-wound chronograph with a column wheel actuation, which is pretty much the peak experience for a movement of its kind. As we mentioned earlier, it's not actually a vintage watch, but there's something pleasingly old school about a manual winding chrono. Most Vacheron Constantin movements are quite pretty, but the caliber 1142 is particularly so, with the top of the column wheel even shaped like Vacheron Constantin's Maltese cross logo. Thanks to the Cornes De Vache's exhibition caseback, you're free to pore over all of its components in vivid detail, with Geneva striping and brushing interrupted by hand-polished bevels. It's also marked with a Geneva seal, certifying the highest standard of finishing within the storied watchmaking city. In terms of specifications, it has a power reserve of 48 hours and a beat rate of 3 Hz. This watch is also paired with a 20mm wide alligator leather strap, complete with curved spring bars for that luxury appearance of conformity within the case's curves. Now here's a question. Do you think horned lugs should make a bigger comeback in modern watch fashion? Let us know in the comments. The Vacheron Constantin Historiques Cornes De Vache 1955 in rose gold is available now from Vacheron Constantin retailers and is priced at 107,000 Australian dollars. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video and you haven't already, please subscribe to Time+Tide, as that's the best way to support us going forward. Until next time, don't be a stranger.